Welcome to the You Are Not Invisible After 50 podcast. This isn't just another podcast, it's a game changer. Here, we're flipping the script, challenging outdated norms and shining a spotlight on bold, unstoppable women who are making an impact. These extraordinary women aren't waiting for permission. They're breaking barriers, inspiring generations, and proving what's possible. And here's the best part. This podcast isn't just for those over 50, whether you're 25, 45, or beyond. There's wisdom, inspiration, and empowerment here for everyone. So get ready for powerful conversations, game-changing insights, and plenty of motivation to fuel your journey. Stay tuned because this week's guest is bringing something truly special and you won't want to miss it. Here's something I noticed talking to women over 50, and I mean really talking to them. Most of us are just getting started. We're not past it, we're not invisible. We are not done. The world just needs to sit up and notice because we haven't even hit our stride yet. I'm Kieran. This is You Are Not Invisible After 50, and this show exists for every woman who knows there's more in her, more to build, more to say, more to do. Every week, I sit down with women who stop waiting for the right moment and just go for it. If that's you or the woman you're working towards, you're in the right place. Today's episode is different because I have a returning guest, Sherry Hurst. We spoke last in June of 2024. It's coming up to a 2-year anniversary and a lot has happened since then. We both decided that we wanted to come together to do this. Stay with us because something in this conversation may feel more familiar to you than you expect. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Kieran.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Yeah. Hard to believe 2 years.
I know. I actually was listening to your podcast and I was thinking, did I do this? And the date on the podcast episode was June 2024. So it's coming to a 2-year anniversary, which is amazing in so many ways. But so much has happened with you, and we're going to pick up on that in a moment. But can I just say that it's actually quite interesting because you and I, both at the same time, almost said, oh, let's do this one again together, which is great fun because to think that we have kept in touch over that period, off and on. I mean, you've been moving around, etc. But we've just kept in touch. And, lately it's just like, maybe this was just meant to happen. And that's why we're here. So let's
Yeah.
go into the podcast. Okay. So last time we spoke, life was very different. So do you want to remind our listeners of what life was like 2 years ago when we had that conversation?
It was so different. It had only been 6 months since my mom had suddenly passed away. I had her little dog I adopted. And so I was getting up like 3 and 4 times at night for him to go pee. And I was living in a bungalow on the island, 50 feet away from the beach. I was in my healing stage, healing from my mom passing away. Life was slow. I felt like I owned the island because I was in vacation, real estate property, and there was nobody ever there except for they were starting to come in June. And that was a very different world. All of a sudden, people were coming, back to the island. But I
Mhm.
had had that whole winter and spring to just really heal my heart, my soul. I'd come out of a relationship of a couple years and just doing a lot of healing and a lot of soul searching. And I was still working, remotely full time in my little bungalow there, but I wasn't really with a lot of people. I was just doing my own thing and just taking care of me and processing all my emotions.
So your mum died, and then after that, I mean, when we last spoke, I said I was been listening to the conversation. So when we last spoke, just to remind myself, you were in a relationship, you had your dog, your mum had passed away just recently. But then after that, your dog died. So again, that was a
Mhm.
traumatic thing. Also, your relationship
Yes.
came to an end. So do you want to
Mhm.
kind of let's pick up from that point then and what made you think about changing your life? And let's go on that journey.
Okay. So after that, life just kind of went on. That relationship kept trying to uh, start back up again. And I was like, no, this is not good. This is not good. But I had this dream before my mom had passed away. In 2023, I had the dream. I sold my house in 2023. And the dream was going to come to fruition that I was going to get a little RV, live in it full time, and travel the country. And so in 2023, I did travel the country in my Jeep Wrangler and slept in the back of it. I went all the way across the country. And for 2 months, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but during that time on the beach, I really hadn't thought a lot about it. And I knew I was on had a lease, and the lease was going to expire. She kept letting me stay longer and longer. Uh, I had a little bungalow that I was renting. It was unheard of me getting something like that in the area where I was for the price I was paying. Unbelievable. And I just knew it was meant to happen. It was meant for me to be there. I knew that without a doubt. And so I don't know, I just, like, after that time, I just started thinking about that dream more and more, and healing myself, because I knew I wasn't physically mentally ready, in 2024, but I knew it was going to happen.
So in 2024, you weren't ready, but you had this dream, which is really interesting. When did you actually start to kind of make changes? How did that come about?
I think, like, my landlord who I was renting from, she allowed me to have a lease to the following March of 2025. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to do something. Either I'm going to go. I sold my house. I sold everything I owned. I was living in a furnished bungalow. I had a few
Mhm.
things that were my mom's, and that was it. And I'm like, okay, I have to be ready to get out of here in March of 2025. And so probably later that year, fall, winter, I really started thinking, like, okay, I'm not going to get a storage unit for these few things that I have. And I sold things on Facebook. I sold things that belonged to my mom. That was hard. But I'm like, I can't keep these. I'm not going to come back to North Carolina and live. I'm not bringing my air here. I'm not living here. And so I didn't want to get a storage unit, have it sitting in the storage unit and get mold on it or never see it again. So I sold it all. And that took a few months, but mainly I started doing that like the end of December, beginning of January 2025. And I just did a lot of research. I tell women all the time, research, get on YouTube. That's the best place to research. Find other women who are solo female travelers and nomads that are doing this, that have got an RV or a van or a class C RV or travel trailer, and they're traveling, whatever they're doing, and follow them, talk to them, get to know them on social media and on YouTube. And I did that a lot. I talked to my girls, my daughters, about my whole situation. I did that in 2023, early 2023. So they knew I wanted to do it, and they were for it. I don't know if they thought I was really going to do it or not, though. I
Mm,
don't think anybody really thought I was going to do it.
mm.
I think, oh, here she is with something else she's going to do.
Another
Yeah,
idea.
I know, right? God, she never stops. And so, and I'm kind of been like a gypsy. I've traveled a lot, and I've lived in a lot of different places, and I've always had a spirit of adventure and travel. I always have. And I got married very young, and I didn't get to go out and just do that. I
Mm.
didn't get to go out and experience all the things I dreamed of doing. So yeah, I started preparing, purging stuff, researching, planning. Okay, March 2025. I got to get a truck first of all, because I have a Jeep Wrangler and I need a truck that can pull something. And I had researched, what do I want to pull? My dream was to pull something across the country, not being a
Mm.
van, not being a big old Class C thing, but pull something. And I always thought of like a little vintage trailer or an Airstream, and went to an RV show in February 2025, saw this Airstream, fell in love with her, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do all of this. Uh, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm going to start somewhere. I got the truck, traded my Jeep Wrangler in, got my Jeep Gladiator, got a great deal on it, and got the Airstream. And I said, we're doing this. I can't go with the vintage. I can't work on stuff. I don't want the headache. And so, yeah, everything pretty much went down in January, February 2025. And so 2024 was just preparing, researching, planning, and purging. Yeah.
I mean, it's really quite interesting that the fact that, you know, here was an idea, here was a dream actually. Here was a dream that you had,
Hmm.
and then he was like, okay, let's start making shifts. It's actually quite interesting when you start making shifts, the shifts then start
Hmm.
getting bigger and bigger. You think, well, I'm on this path now, and I've got to see it through. And also there's something there, Sherry, in terms of if you have a dream and you want it to come to fruition, you can't really stop. You've got to make it happen. And
Hmm.
you may
Yeah.
not know all the steps, but the fact
Hmm.
is, as they say, take the first step and the rest will follow, right? So in
Hmm.
that way, you did that. How did you
Yeah.
feel when you were doing it though? I mean, because you said you sold off your mom's kind of heirlooms. That must have, as you
Yeah.
said, it was hard. But what about getting
Hmm.
rid of other things? I mean, people, we seem to always be attached to something, right? We're always attached to
Hmm.
our things. But there's other
Hmm.
people in the world who are like, oh, I don't want things at all. I don't want the things that tie me down. How did you feel about letting go of all that stuff?
Well, I've had the 10-room farmhouse. I've had the 2,500 square foot house with 2 stories and a full basement full of crap. I've had that. I've had lots and lots and lots of stuff. And so little by little, I purged, I moved, purged, moved. And I purged most of my stuff in 2023, all my furniture and everything, because I was going to do this in 2023. And so when 2024 came and now the move was really happening, I didn't have that much. It was mainly sentimental things. It was pottery and art that my daughter-in-law had made. And my daughter-in-law, she took a lot of those pieces and is holding them for me. I don't know when I'm ever going to get them back, but um, and it was very hard. I mean, I had definitely shed some tears, but I'm like, they're things.
Mm,
I want experiences in life.
mm,
Experiences to me mean more than things.
mm.
And I had been caught up, and then I mean, and everybody's different. Okay,
Yeah,
I had been caught up in all the stuff and all the
yeah.
sentimental stuff, and I wanted the experience.
Mm,
I wanted to be like when I turn 60 in 2025. I want to be doing the things I've always dreamed of doing, and I'd already waited long enough.
yeah.
And so I was just focused on the goal and the dream. The dream had been there for years. I would post little, Airstreams and little vintage trailers on my Facebook page all the time and be like, dreams, goals, hashtag, or hashtag goals and dreams, uh, dreaming, just dreaming. But I was caught up in taking care of being a mom, taking care of growing my business, helping with grandchildren, and just that was and being close to my grandchildren. That was my focus, and that was probably the hard thing. That like I'm leaving my 2 children and my grandchildren. At the time, there were 6 of them there. There's 6 of them there. I'm leaving them, and woo, I'm not going to be down the street from them anymore. And that's hard. I mean, it's been a
Mm.
year since I've seen my grandchildren in North Carolina. But I had a grandchild on the West Coast in California. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out west. I'll be closer to her. They moved. They moved out of the country. They're in Europe.
But you
Why
always
did you
take
do
it
this to me?
overseas. I know.
So they moved in January. They moved, and but I did get to see her and spend 10 days with them in November and December. And I'm like, I I'm okay. Like, I'll get a plane ticket and I'll go back and visit them. But I am okay not having family. But yeah, it was an emotional roller coaster, but I got more and more excited about it and just like I'm doing this. I'm
Yeah.
really doing this. And I'm still
I
emotional about that part of it. Not a woman who knew what she was doing, okay?
The thing is not about knowing what you're doing, it's having the kind of belief that you can do it, right? And also what I did really like about what you said, or I think it's important that we stress it, is that you said this, if I've got to do this now because, I've been waiting to do this for 60 years. And I think it's sometimes before we leave the planet, we should actually accomplish what it is that we set out to do.
Mhm,
Otherwise, it's
mhm,
kind of left unattended, it's left
mhm,
without a completion and it's left with I suppose, regrets, and you don't want to live with a regret. You don't want to live with a regret.
Right.
So that was a
Right.
perfect time to do it.
Hmm.
So I remember what I was going to say to you a couple of minutes ago was that I remember your first video when you were actually driving off because you weren't sure of how you were going to drag your Airstream a lot behind your Jeep and do that. And I remember, and I haven't scrolled back onto your Instagram, but I remember it so well that the fact is that you were exceptionally emotional about that because it's like, I'm doing this.
Hmm.
I'm not sure how I'm
Hmm.
doing this, but here it is. Take us back to that moment when you actually drove off.
Oh,
When you actually drove off, right? You sold everything and
yeah.
then you drove off.
Yeah. I spent the night before like 45 minutes trying to hitch it up. I didn't know what I was doing. Nobody said, "Here, Sherry, I'll show you what to do. Okay. I'll help you. I'll help drive you off the island." Nobody, nobody. So I did FaceTime my son and he helped me, like, do you have the stabilizers down? Like, I call them the legs, the Airstream that like it stands on when you're parked. I'm like, I do. And he's like, that's the problem. Okay. So then that next morning, it was my last day at that bungalow. I got in the truck and I was nervous about driving down the island, and it was raining and it was very windy. Now, the southern Outer Banks of North Carolina is a very narrow island, okay? And so when it's windy, we're talking like 50 to 70-mile-per-hour winds can happen. And I had them that day. And then I had this big long bridge, which makes the winds even crazy. I was nervous, but I was so empowered because I was coming out of my comfort zone and doing something I had, like, I drove it home. I towed it home 2.5 hours. That was my big first step. But this was like, I'm going into the unknown. I'm
Mm,
going into this nomad life that people think is crazy that I'm doing it, but I'm doing what I've always dreamed of doing. I'm going to
mhm,
travel and I'm going to have these crazy experiences and I'm going to meet so many incredible people and see so many awesome things. And I'm going to live dangerously. And the adrenaline rush was just so huge. And yeah, I was scared, but I was very empowered and very excited. And yeah, it rained and it was terrible getting it backed into that spot. I went to this national forest. It took me
yeah,
like an hour to get it backed in, but I did it.
yeah.
I did it.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. So you've been on the road for about a year, right? Or longer?
15 months. Yeah,
15
I
months.
started in March.
And how has that 15 months been for you?
It has been just, I mean, I cried so much for the first few months, not because I was sad or lonely, but because I was just like, oh my gosh, look what I'm doing, and look what I was constantly like talking to myself, while I'm towing down the road, and just so proud of myself because I grew up where you don't do that. You don't be proud of
Mhm.
yourself. That means you're like prideful and you're boastful. But I was like, I am so proud of myself. I'm doing this. I still like the emotions are still there. I don't cry as much as I used to though, but I mean I was just moved to tears so many times. Oh my gosh, look at those mountains straight ahead. That's 10,000 elevation. I'm going over it. I can't turn around. Oh yeah. So there was just definitely lots of emotions of doing hard things, and that really, really took me out of my comfort zone. If people could see the roads I have been on, oh, I'm like, this is not a highway. This is a two-lane road winding all through this mountain that's taking me up like 5,000 elevation. And there's freaking nobody around. There's no around. Oh, I've been in some scary places and I've gone up mountains that like that was not the right way to go. Are you kidding me? It's a one-lane road up a mountain, about 2,000 elevation, dirt gravel road. I can't believe I didn't see a grizzly bear up here and didn't pass one single person. And get to the top of that mountain. I mean, I'm talking primitive. And get there, I'm like, oh my gosh, this was a detour. This was like the wrong way to go. And then I turned and we had to go back down the other way. Yeah, I mean, but it was I embraced it. I'm like,
Mhm.
this is so cool. I'm like the only person up here. And if somebody comes down this way, I'm in trouble because there's no place for me to pull over. And thankfully it didn't happen. But it's been just so many wild adventures like that. I've seen so much beauty, 18 states. I have been, I've hiked mountains. I've camped on the edges of cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean on places that are not campgrounds. It's places that, like, well, okay, so my app says that nobody ever complains about camping here. It doesn't get a knock on the door from the police officer. So we're going to do it. And I did
Mm.
it several times. Never got a knock on the door. Um, only had one scary time, and that's when I was actually at a campground that was just one space line after another overlooking the ocean in California. And about 8 o'clock, somebody pulled up right behind me in the spot next to me. There was nobody there except for people in the distance, way in the distance. And it was a couple guys, and they were getting high. They weren't drinking. I watched them very closely. And that was a little scary because they were right behind me. And I'm like, why did they pick that spot? There's 100 spots here, and only 3 of them are full. Why would they get right next to me? But that was scary, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. Oh, they were gone before I woke up the next morning. And they were young kids just being goofy. But and then I've just, I've experienced so many cool people, just incredible people. Oh, like the world and the country is full of so many awesome people. And we hear, I don't watch the news. I don't get caught up in all of that. I know there's a lot of evil and bad stuff going on. I choose to focus on the good, yet I stand up for stuff that is not, easy to stand up for. And people give me a hard time about it. But I've experienced so many amazing people. And there's just been a lot of personal growth. I mean, anytime you do something that scares the shit out of you, it's you're going to grow from it.
Mm.
And I've lost I've lost friends. I have some family members that don't talk to me anymore, um, and I don't know why. Probably because I don't understand my lifestyle. They don't say what I'm doing. They think I'm crazy. I'm irresponsible. Whatever. I don't care. Um, and I mean, I've heard that you will lose people along the way. And I'm okay with that because I
Mm.
don't need a lot of people. I keep my circle really small, but I meet people everywhere I go. And, I mean, everywhere I go, I meet people. And currently I'm in a campground. I'm getting ready to leave here in a few days. I'll be boondocking up north in Arizona, Utah, and Montana, going up that direction for the summer. But everywhere I go, I just meet incredible people and I make memories. And I believe everybody comes into my life for a reason. And hundreds of people, like, I mean, just so many people. And I believe sometimes it's just we have to come out of our comfort, meet them. They won't always come up to you. Um, and so, yeah, there's so much personal growth. I am not the same woman now that I was on that day that I got in that Airstream and went across that island. I'm a freaking badass. I am so strong. I am so confident in who I am. And I'm not saying any of that out of pride or boastful at all. But all the things that I've done, all the remote places I've camped where there's nobody around, and I don't get scared. I love that, actually. I'm really looking forward to leaving this campground and being out there by myself. But it grows you because you got to look the face, and I'm like, not today. It's not happening today. We're going to overcome this fear. I mean,
Mm.
because I was not a mechanical woman. I was not the kind of woman that knew how to do all this stuff. I wear my little cute earrings. I have my little blush on and my cute hairstyle. Now my hair is lucky if it gets combed, and we don't barely even wear earrings. So I'm not the same person. And I mean, I think it's I'm just like I'm really proud of the woman I've become. I am.
And I'm so proud of you because I think you're right, actually, Sherry. The fact is that if we don't push ourselves, we don't really know what we're actually capable of, right? You have to step out of
Yes.
that comfort zone. And I say that, and
Mhm.
I like being comfortable, but I think, I also admire women who are just go with whatever is going to happen. Let's see where that goes, whatever. There's some things that what you were saying would actually probably scare me shitless, going up a mountain and there's just like
Oh,
on a dirt track. I mean, that would scare me. That is
yeah.
like, oh my God, what am I doing up here? Or, like being in a campground all on your own. I mean, I suppose loneliness or being alone might be something that a lot of people kind of have difficulty
Mhm.
with. Have you felt that? I mean, being alone or being kind of, or even lonely at times? I mean, I know they're separate things.
That is a really good question. It is. And I just talked about that on my YouTube video yesterday. Uh, that is something a lot of women deal with. Um, and they do this lifestyle, but they don't get out much. They stay in their little RV or their camper or van or whatever. I've had a handful of times when I felt lonely, and you're going to be really shocked by this. It's when I was around a lot of people. I've
Mm.
had times when I'm here. I just sat and listened to live music the other night, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go by myself and listen to live music. That's what I do. And I was the only single person sitting there. Everybody else was married. There were some of them getting up and dancing, and but I just sat and I observed, and I'm like, wow, they've been married for a really long time, but they're not even holding hands or sitting close together. Okay. And I'm over here just doing my own thing. But it's times like that I do have a little sense of like, oh, it would be really cool to experience it with somebody. That's when I don't have that a lot. And I've talked to
Hmm.
other nomads also. Um, and there's times that's like, it'd be really cool to experience this with somebody, you know? And I think men struggle with loneliness more than women do.
Mm.
Every guy that I talk to, they're like, they really struggle with being lonely. They want an adventure partner. But myself, I don't. I mean, I'm by myself probably 80 to 90% of this journey. I've been by myself, boondocking, camping. But in this campground, yeah, I mean, I'm surrounded by people, and it can feel very lonely. But I go out and I
Mhm.
talk to people. I'm like, okay, I know every night I come by and walk, and I'm gonna say hi to you. And sometimes they're like, is she gonna walk over and talk to us again? But now it's like I go by and they say, hey, how are you doing? I'm
Mm.
like, probably because they feel sorry for me, like, bless her heart, she's alone. I get that a lot. You're by yourself? You're by
Mm.
yourself? Yep, I'm by myself. Yeah, I am.
It's me.
I don't have and I don't have to be, but I'm just really selective and I'm not
Mm.
settling, okay? But when it comes to, or like, I was in San Francisco, walking the streets of San Francisco. I was in the and I'm like, gosh, it's so lonely feeling here. I'd
Mm.
pass people on the sidewalk, they got their headphones in, they're looking straight ahead, they're looking down. I'm like, oh, this is so I because for me to be lonely is when I'm around a bunch of people and they
Mm.
won't they won't even acknowledge I'm walking by. I say hi to everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't make everybody stop and talk, but that's probably when I feel the loneliest. Put me
Mm.
out in the woods or in the desert by myself, never, ever, ever feel lonely. Never. Yeah, I've struggled with big time. That's when I have, if it happens, that's when it happens.
I mean, as I said, there's a difference between alone and being lonely, right? And you can be lonely in a
Mhm.
crowd of people, as you said. So, what are the key moments that have shaped you on this journey?
Oh, wow. So many. Just doing things more than anything, because I mean, since I've been out west, in the past 5 months, almost 6 months, I have barely stayed in a campground. Didn't stay in a campground until April and May. And I'm getting ready to move on, and I won't be in a campground. I don't know when I'll be in a campground, if ever again. And I think that is really, when I say I'm feral, I'm really feral. When I come to a campground, it's like, oh gosh, I don't fit in here. I need to wash my feet. Because you're in the desert, you're in the dirt all the time. Your feet get dirty. And I don't care. I embrace all of it. I don't
Mm.
mind being feral. I don't have to have anything. And when I meet somebody or I meet a guy who's interested in me, I'm like, I just want you to know I'm really feral. Okay. I don't shave my armpits.
Okay.
And I haven't shaved my hair in a couple of weeks or my legs in a couple of weeks. I don't wash my hair that often. I don't take a shower, like, a sponge bath. And they're like, I don't care. Like, I just want to establish that one thing right there, okay? But I think the things that like, just doing the things that like are most people will look at me like I could never do that. Are you kidding
Mm,
me? And just I couldn't camp out there. You saw a bobcat at your campsite? You saw a mountain lion at your campsite? Wait, then you don't see anybody around you? Like, nope. And I love it that way.
mm,
And yeah, it's an adrenaline rush. It really is. I mean, this is like nothing. This is a gated community. Like, there's no fear. I walk out here in the dark at night and everything. I have absolutely, there's nothing. I don't go walking around in the forest or the desert at night in the dark because there is wildlife out there, and
mm.
I'm not dumb. But I think those times of being alone and not depending on anybody else, but depending on myself, and doing things that are really hard, that really you're not going to have confidence if you've never done anything hard in your life. It's the
Mm.
hard stuff that makes you feel confident. And we all have things that we do that are hard, but I think probably those, and just going down a road and not knowing where I'm going and going up that mountain and not like, where am I? You now I can describe it, but you can't even imagine it. And this is why I wish they'd had like a GoPro or a dash cam or something, because you can't capture that when you're driving. I mean,
Mm.
you just and knowing that it's just there's nobody out here, or being a national wildlife refuge where there's absolutely no phone service. It's SOS. There's nothing going on out there, but it's so beautiful all around you. And it's in those moments of like, there's nothing. There's no sound. You go within. I have no TV. I don't watch TV at all. I barely watch anything. I might check a YouTube video out, but the silence. And I've been in some really silent, dark sky, nothing around but the wildlife that's floating around. And you really have to listen to yourself when you're in that kind of silence. And a lot of healing has happened, a lot of healing, and just a lot of soul searching. And it's just made me a much stronger woman for sure.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
sure as part of your journey, I mean, you have increased, we're going to talk about what you're doing currently, but I'm kind of leading into it. The fact is that you have been on this journey, or you're on this journey. You have a
Mhm,
lot of women who follow you. You've had an uptick on your followers, and also, you have the hangout, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But there must be loads and loads and loads of women who are coming to you and asking you how you're doing it. What is it
mhm,
like? You know,
mhm,
what do you get from these women? What do they say to you in terms of what are the questions that they ask? I mean, I know they're varied, but what are the kind of the main questions that somebody would be asking you?
mhm. So many questions every single day. And they want to know, like, how do you get started with this? Did you have any experience? Did you know how to tow a trailer like that? How do you make money? How much money do you need each month to be able to do this? Would you recommend a van or a travel trailer? Do I need like solar panels you're talking about and power stations? Do you get lonely? What do you do to stay safe? That's a big one.
Mm,
What do you do
mm.
to stay safe? Do you pack? I don't. And just, I mean, oh my goodness, every day I get questions. And then at first it was very overwhelming, and I tried to answer all of them. And then that's when I created the Hangout. I can only do so much. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to stay. I gotta like maintain these two vehicles, two rigs that I have. I'm building businesses, I'm working, and then I'm traveling.
Yeah.
So there's a lot on my plate.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on to what you're currently doing, is there anything you want to say, Sherry, about all that we've talked about? Or I think we've covered quite a bit, haven't we, in terms of your journey, in terms of the questions, what your experience has been like doing this? Is there anything else you'd like to add there before we move on to what you're currently doing?
Well, I guess I didn't actually say I left North Carolina coast in March of 2025, and I went to the Washington state coast, all the way across the United States, and then came down into the desert in Arizona. And that's been my 15 months pretty much, but I'm moving on into other states. And one thing I have found through a lot of this, the questions that do get asked by women, there's a lot of women, midlife, 50 and older, a lot of them 55 and older, that are at a crossroads. They're wanting to start a new chapter of life. Maybe they went through a divorce. Maybe they lost a loved one. Maybe they lost their parents. They lost a spouse. They just want something new. They've been like me. They had a dream and they just want to do it. They've dreamed of traveling. They've dreamed of like this adventure. And those are the women who come to me because they see she's did it.
Mm.
I mean, I think there's a lot of women that didn't think I could do it because I haven't heard from them in 15 months. And it's really weird. In the last month or so, I've heard from a lot of them. I'm like, I'm really proud of you. You did it. I'm like, yep, I've been doing it for 15 months.
And I'm
You
still
didn't
doing
think I
it.
was going to. I'm still doing it. This is my lifestyle. I'm not on a vacation, okay? And so, but yeah, those women are coming to me. There's so many women out there that are in this next chapter of life, and they want someone to speak out and speak life into them, and that they can come to with all these questions, and somebody who's approachable and real and authentic. And I am that. And I mean, people tell me that I am that. I don't want to make it look like it's perfect. I want you to know I did it scared to death. And if I can, you can. Any whatever that chapter looks like for you, you can do that.
Absolutely. Brilliant. So let's go on to what you are currently doing, apart from the traveling, obviously, because we've covered that bit.
The wheels are always turning, okay? Because when you're an entrepreneur, the best thing you can do as a woman is to have multiple streams income, okay? Not just put all your eggs in one basket, but see, what can I do? Can I do this? Can I do that? I have a whole ecosystem of Silver Mermaid that is transpiring and is happening. And my goal is eventually I'll have 14 streams of income. Maybe only bring me in $200 a month, but when you start adding all that up, every little stream of income helps. And I'm not a sugar mama. I'm not like independently wealthy. I didn't get a big, tax check or inheritance or anything like that. I am a self-made woman, and there's something to say about that. And I believe any woman can do that. A self-made woman with no college degree, okay, just a lot of grit and hard work. That is me.
Yeah.
And what am I doing right now? I've been a wellness coach for 9 years. I help women in all areas. They don't want to be on a bunch of pills, so they talk to me about how can I do this naturally, holistically. Is there anything I can do to help with perimenopause or menopause? And then I am a life mentor to women. I'm help mentor them in the next chapters of life. That actually is just majorly taken off since I started this journey. But I've been doing that on social media for probably the last 10 years. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make this a job because I'm doing this, and I don't have the energy to do that now. I don't have the time to do that. So it's got to be a job. And so I'm doing that. I do one-on-one mentoring sessions. I do the Silver Mermaid Hangout. I started doing it every Tuesday night. And I host anywhere from 2 women to 10. I just cut it off at 10. And it's not just women who want to be a, nomad or full-time traveler. They're just like, I just want to sit with you and see I want to hear your story, get to know you, and let you answer my questions. And then the cool thing is that there's usually other women. I've only ever had one time where there's just one woman, but there's other women. I get to hear each other's stories. And then I have a Instagram direct message, and I invite them into that. And then I just share, inspirational things in there on occasion. Sometimes they share, I did this, look, and it's so cool because they're kind of cheering each other on, and I'm cheering them on, and I don't lose contact with them. So I'm doing that, very passionate about that. So excited that this journey could evolve into that. And that all started in December. And then I am a content creator. That is probably my main income also. and I do UGC creating, user generated content creator. Any woman can do that. And I know a woman who is a coach, and she's her whole module, her whole thing is the most inexpensive one out there, and she totally um, caters and evolves around Gen X and above women, which is
Mm-hmm.
really, really cool. And men. There's some men in there too. And she has a great community. So I do that. A lot of that you don't even see on my platforms. I just started a YouTube channel. That is a learning curve, showing you're never too old. You can do that. You know, you can start to, I mean, I've had it for a couple of years, but I really started doing it. So that's another thing. I'm going to get monetized on YouTube. I got big for my YouTube channel. Um, and I'm an affiliate with a lot of different brands. Also, I'm always like, taking on new brands with that. And what else am I doing? Let's see. Oh, I just wrote an ebook, my Silver Mermaid Rituals. I started there because that's been a part of my life for 9 years. What I do every day, rituals, that's a little ebook. But I'm getting ready to launch my next ebook, where that'll be journey starting in at the beach bungalow, and what got me going into this, what I'm doing now, full-time traveler, full-time nomad. And so I'm just going to start doing ebook series of my journey. And then I got all kinds of ideas for ebooks, because ebooks are easy. You can create a small ebook. Somebody can buy it, boom, they download it and they've got it. I would love to do Audible books. I would love to start a podcast. I like to talk. But and then one day I'm going to have merchandise, but I'm not one of those kind of people, like, I got to feel like I got to be there before I have
Yeah.
merchandise. And
Mm-hmm.
so I haven't done that yet, but that's down. I got I got all kinds of plans. It's just never ending. It's always evolving.
And I think that's really great because I think, what keeps, I mean, I'm 62, right? And who would have thought, right? Who would have thought that at 62? And years ago, and before we even reached this kind of stage in our lives, who would have thought that, oh, we're going to do X, Y, Z? And what I've found is the more creative you are, the more you want to do, you want to do more of it, right? And then you kind of are spreading your wings and you think, okay, so now this is, my kids are always afraid of what might come up with next, right? And it's just like, okay, so we're gonna put this on top of what we're doing already, blah blah blah. And but yeah, I think, if you have that kind of creative streak and you deploy it, you then
Mm-hmm,
become more creative. And also that energizes an individual. I have felt that at
mm-hmm.
62, first of all, I didn't think that I was going to be alive. But secondly, at 62, I think, oh my God, this is amazing. I don't even feel like I feel totally energized, right? Let's do this. And it's
Yeah.
greater energy and it gives you a meaning of life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Yeah.
otherwise, what else are you going to do? You're going to just wither away and
Mm-hmm.
die? Well, actually, I don't really want to do that at the moment. I want to kind of excel in something. And you think, yeah. And I think what I'm trying to say, not what I'm trying to say, what I'm saying is that if you deploy those creative skills and your mind is always churning for ideas, first of all, you'll keep sane, right? You're using your
Mm-hmm.
mental faculties. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you're building up those neural pathways and you're going to remain young. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
all a good thing.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Um, it does. I mean, and I'm a constant, I'll be a lifetime learner. I love learning. And, people try to get information from me, learn. I'm like, you know what? Your best friend is YouTube. Get
Mhm.
on YouTube and just learning from other people and just sitting and absorbing it and taking notes. And I'm constantly learning, and I have not arrived at all. I have so much to still learn. And the thing is, like, there's times I sit into myself, I'm like, people do not realize this is hard for me. Okay.
Mm.
I've got, like, right now 5 platforms I've been learning. And I sit here and I'm like, I am so frustrated. This is not easy for me at all. I'm not techie. oh, I'm creative, and I fight with and struggle, and I'm like, and I just want to be like, I need to get right here on social media right now, let them know this is really hard.
Yeah. But I
I
think
mean,
it gives you the
yeah.
fire, though, doesn't it, though, Sherry? It gives you the fire to carry on and to try and not to give up.
Hmm.
And there's always a solution, right? I mean, like you
Yeah,
said that
yeah.
you asked your son-in-law when you first set off, right, about, how to tow something. We all refer to somebody to give us that. I mean, my daughter is an AI. And I always refer to her going, okay, so how do I do this? I mean, I am technical, luckily, because I was in a technical field. But the fact is, I go, but there's always that constant learning because things are changing very, very quickly. And if you
Oh,
don't keep
oh, yeah.
up, you are going to be left
Hmm.
behind. Now, if you're an entrepreneur like you and I, you have to keep ahead of that bloody curve because, otherwise we're going to be one step behind and we don't want to be one step behind. We want to be one step ahead. So
That's
it
me.
is important to learn and keep on going, but it fires up all those kind of cylinders, doesn't it, as well?
My goal is to get a virtual assistant and an agent that does all that for me, so I can just get on the camera and talk
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
and
that's
make my
great.
reels and my videos. No, and
Absolutely.
it does fuel me, and I like with energy. And I mean, there's like I have a hard time winding down and going to sleep. I'll stay up many times till midnight or 1 o'clock because the wheels are just turning. They're always turning. They're like I can't. I have a hard time just and wake up in the morning. I wake up early, and I'm like, as soon as I get up, I drink my coffee, and I'm like, okay, now let's see what's on my list today. I never. I mean, sometimes I get overwhelmed because I have a lot to do, and I have a lot to do before I leave this weekend on my next stretch of the journey, which is really big. But and I get overwhelmed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got so much to do.
Yeah.
But I kind of feed off of that, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
I
know.
do too. I do too. Is there anything else you want to say about what you're currently building, or have we covered it all off?
I just think that like for women who think, well, gosh, I don't know how to do any of that. If I can learn the things I've learned and step
Mm,
out the way I've stepped out, any woman can do it. Because, like I said, I didn't go to college. I
mm,
took some college courses, but I've taken courses like online about the things I want to learn about content creating. I've taken 3 different courses, learning all about UGC creating and content. Have I figured it all out yet? Absolutely not. Am I doing it and making money from it? Yep, I am. And then what I do is I learn from somebody else before I make the video and put it out there because it is a little intimidating when you're older. I mean, a lot of the content creating is for younger people, but like I said, my friend Megan, she's got the older people going on, and I love it. But and that to get to where you want to be, it's a lot of hard work. I mean,
mm.
I work and I have been like for the last a month or two, almost every single day. Almost every single day. I have worked 12 to 16-hour days. The last month, I've been in my cave and I barely left. And I'm like, and I mean, I've gone for some hikes here and there. I definitely take a power walk every single night for at least an hour. But I come back and I start working again because I've got goals and I want to play some this summer. And I can't stop now. I have a momentum
Mm.
to keep going. Like when the momentum is happening and I've got the energy and I'm focused on it, I have to keep going because that's an adrenaline rush that I love.
I'm
But
in the
any
same
woman
boat
can
as
do it.
you.
It just takes a lot of work.
It
Yeah.
does. It does take a lot of work. And I think, I'm in the same boat as you, whereas I'm like, I'm working harder. Hopefully I'm working smarter. Working smarter, working harder, deploying more skills, trying to get different kind of routes into, making income or making money and being creative at the same time and feeding that energy in so that you can actually think, okay, this is not just work, this is fun, this is great, I'm
Hmm.
creating something different. So yeah, I think, but the thing is, it does take grit. It does take hard work, and it takes that
Hmm.
determination and resilience to keep on going. Because I always
Hmm.
think, what's the alternative? Just to sit on your asses and do zero? Well, it's not really a nice alternative, is it? Really? Because
Hmm.
first of all, you get too lazy, and the fact is, this
Yeah.
keeps you active. It keeps you energized.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I
Right.
agree. Totally.
So let's go into a commercial break, and when we come back, Sherry's going to tell us what she's going to build next. Listen up, ladies. At You Are Not Invisible After 50, our mission is clear: to empower, uplift, and celebrate all women, regardless of your background, culture, or journey. This is your time to shine. So why not wear the message? Explore our branded merchandise. Own your power by joining our transformative training courses. Or stay inspired by following us on social media for exciting new releases. But that's not all. We want to hear from you. Have you reinvented yourself after 50? Overcome challenges? Refuse to be invisible? Your story matters. DM us on Instagram or visit www.youarenotinvisibleafter50.com to share your journey. Shop, learn, connect, inspire, and change the game. Want to know more about the woman behind the movement? Find me, Kiran Kumar, at www.iamkirankumar.com or on Instagram. We can't wait to connect with you. Sherry, we've just been talking about what you've been doing currently. Long-term plans. What are they? What are you seeing? If you looked into a crystal ball, what is it that you would want to conjure up for your future?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, well, I'm really proud of myself that I have any plans for the future because I'm not a planner. And like, I'm going to leave here this weekend and I don't know where I'm going to camp. I don't know where I'm going to boondock, but I do know there's a national forest where I'm going and there's a lot of boondocking spots there. And I'm just going to go down a dirt road and be like, oh, this is perfect. Let's do it. That's how I roll. And I was told I can't do this journey like that. I have to have a plan.
No, obviously you don't.
Nah, I'm showing you. You don't have to. But it takes a certain person to be able to roll with it like that. And
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I mean, it gets a little anxious. I'm like, it's okay. We're gonna find it. And then yeah. But I think in the back of my mind, my goal is by the time I'm 65, I want to have all these systems in place. Okay. I want to have these streams of income. I want to have all these different ebooks, my stories out there. And I want to have these multiple streams of income that are just rolling. They're just rolling, you know? And yeah, maybe I'm doing some content creating because I don't know. I can't imagine myself never working. I feel like I'm probably going to always be doing something, but I want to have a steady stream of income coming in that I don't have to work so hard. Yeah, without a doubt. And I can just really, people see what I do and they're like, oh, you're living the dream life. You're living the dream life. And I'm like, this is a dream. Yeah, that has come true, but I have made it happen. Okay. The dream is, and then maybe I need to record being at 1 o'clock in the morning at night working. Maybe I need to do that actually. But no, I'm like, I'm making the dream happen. I manifested this 3 years ago. Manifestation is not just like, I want to do this. I just put a reel out on Instagram about that. And it's not a matter of just like, this is what I'm manifesting. And you're just sitting like, okay, when's it going to happen? I can't wait. Nope. I manifested it. This is going to happen. And I'm resolving that this is going to happen. And now let's make it happen. Okay. And but yeah, that is my main thing. I don't see myself settling down anywhere. If I do, it might be some little small home, tiny home community, or maybe an RV park where it's a beautiful surrounding. But I feel like when I'm 65, I'm gonna have a lot of life left to me, and I'm not gonna be slowing down. I have plans. I want to go to Europe and visit my daughter and my son-in-law. That's a big ticket. I need to get to North Carolina. That's really the only family I have left. I have my son or my brother in Washington State. I want to go visit him again. And that's pretty much, most of my family right there. I have a sister in Ohio. But yeah, and I want to make an imprint on this earth.
Mm.
I want when people like think about what I've done, I don't want them to think like, wow, she's living the dream life. I want them to see the grit and the hard work and she did this scared. She didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah.
She was 59, almost 60, and she was like, I want to make an imprint for women all over the world that are like, they have the confidence that they can do it too. Whatever it looks like, whatever they dream of doing, they can do it too. Um, yeah, probably more than anything. I really I desire that.
I think it's two things actually. It's leaving a legacy for your family and for them to realize what you are achieving or have achieved. That's the first one.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
also as women, we have a responsibility to assist, support, empower other women who are coming up behind us. And even
Hmm.
women who are of the same age, because not everybody sees it, not everybody does it. Somebody wants a good, great role model. You may be a role model to, I don't know, say 50,000 women, but there'll be another woman who's a role model to somebody else. We all need to come forward in order to show that
Hmm.
this could be a way. I mean, I was thinking about this. I mean, my life was so different. I was never allowed to speak. I was never allowed to do something, blah, 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 blah. The story of my life, right? Get to the age of
Hmm.
52 when I left my husband, started to find my own feet. And now here I am at 62, 10 years on, where I have a podcast that is heard all over the world. We're one. Well, we got recommendation that we are 10 worldwide for women over 50 podcasts. So we have come a long way. This is just the beginning. This, like you, is just the beginning, right? The fact
Yeah.
is that I would have never imagined, and I know that everybody in my past would never enable me to do this, apart from us putting ourselves in those difficult situations and going, I'm going to be different to everybody else out there. And people like you, the conversation that you and I had 2 years ago was that both of you and I are rebels. And we are. And because of our rebellious streak, we are the people that we are now because we don't accept a no. We go, well, we're going to do it our way. Don't really care, and we push the boundaries and we think, well, let's see what happens. And that's what gets you where you really want to be, and you just have to keep on going.
Yes, yes. Oh, I was born a rebel. I was. I see pictures of me as a kid. Yeah. You summed that up so beautifully. And growth, it sometimes takes time. I mean, I think a lot of people, we live in a world of instant gratification. Okay,
Mm,
building a business, uh, fulfilling your dreams, doing hard things and learning it and feeling comfortable enough to teach it to somebody else, which is what I'm
mm,
doing now.
mm.
Blows me away. Blows me away that this woman 15 months ago was scared shitless, didn't even know what a power station was. And now she's standing around talking to men who don't even know what power stations and solar panels are. You talk about empowering. Oh, let me tell you what I know, okay?
I
I
know
mean, but yeah.
a lot.
I know I'm really bad. I can't help it. I went from
I
being
think
a
it's really good.
CEO.
Why not blow your own trumpet? Come on, girl. Why don't you just,
Uh,
yeah.
oh, I do. I just did yesterday on the side of a mountain. I met this guy. He just started his nomad life, and he's like, "So wait, what is a power station?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm the queen of power stations. I've got three of them. Okay, and I live self-contained out in the woods in the desert with no hookups whatsoever." And he's like, "I'm like, yep,
Mm.
I do. I'm the queen of boondocking. I do. I go out there and I power everything, and I'm the one responsible for making it all happen."
Well done, you. Clap and applause.
Mean, but things don't happen fast, and I think
Mm.
that's one of the things with women, like, okay, how can I make money? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you got to work for it, and it may not happen overnight, and you're gonna have to, like, if you're, especially if you're growing a business or you're growing a podcast. I mean, you growing YouTube.
Mm.
I mean, I'm like, I got almost 82,000 followers over here on Instagram. I'm getting 1,000 followers a week. Okay.
Mm.
And I'm over here YouTube, like, oh my God, follower, a subscriber today. Oh my gosh, I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers. Wow.
Slow and steady, right? Slow
Humbling.
and steady.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
Oh, shoot.
Sherry, do you want to say anything else about what you're doing, or shall we move on to the end of the podcast where we talk about the three words that you use to?
Um, well, in June, I plan to launch my ebook about lessons learned by the sea. And that's going to be my story of healing from grief of losing my mom and then transitioning into, okay, now the next step is we're going to be a full-time nomad. That's
Mm-hmm.
coming out in June. And I've been working on that actually for a couple years now, and working on it, revising it, and everything. And I'm not a professional author or anything. I'm just putting my story out there, And I didn't know anybody would buy my books, but the first one's done really well. And that's not even talking about my story. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm working really hard and trying to getting ready to embark on a really big journey, though, going into very unknown territory. Woo! And I mean, I've been in the same state for 5 months and not the same place. I've traveled all over the state, but I'm going into a new state and it's getting bigger and more remote. And I'm like, now how high are the mountains there? Wait, 8,000 elevation? I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. But if you want to see the things you want to see and get to
Mm-hmm.
the other state, you're going to have to go there, Sherry. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, building up my confidence. I'm feeling a little anxious because that's in a few days from now. And I haven't towed it on a long, 3-hour trip in a couple months now. So, but I'm excited about that. And so June and July are going to hold some really big things for me. And I'm really excited. Um, what else is going on with me? Just working on growing my businesses, working on growing my mentorship, mentoring women, my silver hangouts, and just helping women. I mean, I that gives me energy. That's my main passion right there. And yeah, just trying to and then enjoy nature,
Yeah.
and go on hikes and not forget not forget why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want to be
Mm.
out here in nature, and I am. Everywhere I go, I'm out in nature. I sit outside, take my laptop and work. I'm not always in my Airstream, but I make that a priority. Every day, I have to be out doing something in nature, whether it's a power walk to the campground, or a power walk down a dirt road, wherever I am, or just sitting outside under the stars and soaking it all in, and connecting with people. I love to connect with people, mainly women, but I do learn a lot from these boondocking guys that go out in the middle of nowhere. I do. I love connecting with people, meet new people every week, and learn from them. You can learn so much from other
Yeah.
people.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Fabulous. Okay, so now give me three words that we can use for people to access your episode.
Okay, so adventurer. Okay, because I am an adventurer. Nomad. I'm a nomad, a full-time nomad, travel full-time. Let's just do uh 60.
Okay,
That's a good
fabulous.
one. Is that
Okay,
a good
that's all
one?
right.
Is that a good
Fine, it's
one?
okay. You can go with that. Okay, last question for you. What
Okay.
do you want for women to take away from this conversation that we've had today? What are you hoping they'll take away from the conversation?
Um, Not that this woman is like, wow, she's amazing. Um, but that she overcame her fear, and that she did hard things. She's doing hard things, and she's bringing other women with her and encouraging them and cheering them on along the way. She's not doing this alone. I have cheerleaders, and but I want to inspire women, and that they're not too old. They're not invisible after 50, and they're definitely not invisible after 60. They're not. That we have a voice,
Mm,
we have wisdom, we have
hmm.
experience,
Absolutely.
and those voices need to be heard.
Yeah.
We're not invisible. We don't need to be
Uh,
invisible in a corner. We need to let whatever our experience is, we need to share it. Big, small, whatever it is, and share it, and just and be proud of it, and be in your experience and who you are.
I think that's really well said, and thank you very much. It's a perfect way of finishing the podcast. Sherry, can I just say been a delight having you back on. It's lovely when you feel connected with someone that they feel, and also they feel comfortable with coming back on and going,
Oh,
okay, let's have another go at
yes,
this one.
totally.
And
I love you,
also,
Karen.
Oh, bless you. And also,
I
the
do.
fact is that your journey is so encouraging. It's so positive. It's so like motivational. We
Mm.
all need to see that. We all need to experience that. And the fact is that you come back on to share that. I think I can only thank you and thank you for saying that you love me because I love you too, right? So I did hear it, so I haven't dismissed it. The fact is that I feel so comfortable with you because you are so natural. You have no kind of
Mhm.
airs or graces. You're just you, and that is just the way it should be, right? That none of us, neither of us are like that. We are just who we are,
No,
and we come
that's why
across
we
like that.
connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thankful that you had me on a second time. I feel very honored. And I'm so behind everything you're doing. It's some amazing work you're doing, Kieran.
I
It
think we
is.
feel the same, right? The fact is that you are in your space doing your thing, which is, motivational and positive, and women need to see that. I'm doing my thing. The fact is that we can connect across that and admire each other for what we're doing and how we can, and also and how we can support each other in becoming bigger and brighter and, braver and all of that kind of thing. It's just
Yes.
encouraging, and that's what it should be
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
It's
I,
been
I
an
totally agree.
honor, Sherry. It really has been an honor. And I'm so delighted that you felt comfortable enough to come back on.
Oh, totally. I mean, there's not too many situations that I don't feel comfortable in. I don't know. I don't surround myself with people like that. if I feel uncomfortable with you at all the first time, I won't know. And I've been
You will
invited
know.
on some podcasts. No, and I invited on some podcasts. And I'm like, I don't think so. No, no. I mean, my vibe is casual, you know?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
I'm real raw and gritty and
yeah.
authentic, and I'm not changing for anybody. Okay.
No.
So if I can't be myself when I come on your podcast, or I can't be myself talking to you on social media or in person, we're not going to be hanging out. Okay.
Well, let's make sure that doesn't happen in the future because you don't know in 2 years' time. If we're still alive and
Yeah,
kicking, we could do a third time
we
of
are
this.
going to
Who
be. Oh,
knows?
yeah,
Who
we are.
knows? Who knows? But for the moment, it's been a delight. It's been wonderful, and I'm so grateful that you actually decided to come back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Karen. It's been absolutely wonderful, and I feel very, very honored. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the You Are Not Invisible After 50 podcast. Are you feeling inspired by today's incredible guest? Well, don't stop there. Follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify for more powerful stories of reinvention. Subscribe, rate, and leave a comment. And most importantly, share this podcast with every woman who needs to hear it. Together, we're proving that life after 50 isn't about fading away. It's about rising, thriving, and making an impact. And do you want to be part of this sisterhood? Why not share your story? Your journey could inspire thousands. DM us on Instagram or visit www.youarenotinvisibleafter50.com. We want to hear from you. And are you looking for more? Check out all our products and services on www.youarenotinvisibleafter50.com and connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube because this movement is only getting louder. And always remember, life doesn't end at 50, it's just the beginning. We look forward to you connecting with us. Thank you.